Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. Liftoff.
Hello. What is up, guys? Hunter Klein here, bringing you this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. We're slowly getting the hang of it, y'all. I got the OBS for the YouTube video recording right now at the same time as audition. And last week, it was a little overwhelming, but I'm feeling in my comfort zone this week. And it's only the second time we've done it. So it's coming along, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. I know you guys are probably thinking, right, you seem a little different right now. Something's a little off. I think maybe your voice is deeper, a little more wise. Just seems like life's chopped away at you a little more. And that's probably because I'm 23. I'm a 23-year-old grown man now. I hope you guys are all doing well, enjoying yourselves, and finding the positives through these very odd times. So my quarantine birthday, yep, I'm 23. I turned 23 the 15th last Wednesday. And the quarantine birthday was interesting, right? There's not a lot of options. We can't really call up all the friends and go downtown or do crazy young people stuff. But some things I did do to celebrate, just kind of thought about it. And it's going to sound weird, but it is the little things. You guys know I tend to, especially during these quarantine times, the minimalist lifestyle, really finding joy in the small little tasks, the small little changes. So I spent a little extra time in the gym, snagged a bit extra Bang energy drink, and a little flavor, and ended the night with a little whiskey on the rocks. So there wasn't too much that went on. I had a friend come and visit the day after, so it was good. Nothing too crazy, but I did have a good day, right? I don't need all the bells and whistles, the balloons and such to have a good time. And really enjoy the day and, think on the 23 years that we have had here. It's odd, guys. It's odd. I feel a lot older than 23, which I think is a good thing. We got a lot of years ahead of us. Things are starting to come together. The education is, I'm starting to see the top of the mountain. I'm starting to see, hopefully here within the next year, the other side will start to reveal itself, so I can get a better idea of the terrain that I'm going to be crossing post-education. But yeah, guys, it's the simple things. I've been thinking about the title of IP Monkeys a little bit, and just how insanely applicable it is to the perspective that we talk on so much, and the perspective that I hold in life generally. So, Interplanetary Monkeys. And it kind of goes back to, this might be interesting to you guys, it goes back to the actual creation and why I named the podcast IP Monkeys. And the interplanetary part of this, because it started as more of a science podcast, it still applies now. But the interplanetary part alludes to, where we're at in society right now. We're getting ready to... We're already relaunching rockets. We're reusing rockets. We're getting ready to send people to Mars, the moon. We're about to start inhabiting other planets, which is just an absolutely beautiful story for me. And I think it's one of the most essential things for humans to do, is to continue to explore, continue to spread, and continue to grow. Because quite frankly, living out a life on this one planet for the rest of, human existence, to me, is very, very sad. And a lot of people, like Elon Musk, share the same opinion. That's why they start businesses like this. But the monkey side of it. Now, I think this is valuable. And I wrote this up while I was in the mental pocket. So there's a monkey in all of us. Like, the reason I think IP Monkeys is so relatable or so applicable to a wide variety of people is that there is a monkey in all of us. Now, let me explain. Whether it's you, ladies, Feeling a huge amount of joy when your man gives you a shiny rock to show love, right? This seems normal, but it's very monkey-like. Or whether it's you guys playing with yourselves while looking at a phone screen. It doesn't seem normal and extremely monkey-like. It's there in every single one of us, yet we all still try to hide it. We feel ashamed when we are caught judging a potential mate by their looks. And we damn near rather admit to theft or murder than our use of porn. And I think this is all because we desperately don't want to be animals or mammals. We want to be more, right? We want to be unique. We want to be divine, not from the earth. I think it's if this explanation, for the same reason we make stories such a part of our existence and lives. We want to be a part of something bigger, and like I said, something divine. I think that really hits the nail on the head. Maybe this, and I've been thinking, maybe this is what I run into when I try to share my point of view with the world. This type of scientific, interplanetary, very raw nature created perspective. It feels that I'm pulling hair when I try to talk about it, or when trying to tell the beautiful story of humanity. It feels like we're going against the grain. I think if I really had to put my finger on it, I think that ignorance is bliss, and too much truth seems to knock us out of the utopian stories that so many of us have built our lives around. No, I think that's true. I don't think that, especially when I get into that scientific mode, that evolution type of mode, this interplanetary monkey type of mode, it's very difficult for some people to come around or to actually understand or open their mind to the perspective because, if you've built your life, if you've built your purpose, if your whole family's built their life around stories that contradict with the message I'm trying to send, then it's not worth, for a lot of people, it's not worth the turmoil, the mental turmoil that it would take to, actually consider my perspective, true. Or consider my perspective at the top. And I'm not saying my perspective is more valuable or better, but I do think my perspective is very logical. I don't take very long leaps. I don't really reach out for speculation too much. And it's just this perspective is that we are just slightly evolved monkeys trying to find our way in the universe. If I had to, re-detail my perspective on this, or what I'm hinting to when I say my perspective here, it is this kind of very scientific, very neutral type of, let's do as much as we can as humans on this earth as possible, which includes getting off our planet and exploring the universe. Now, one interesting thing about, when I was thinking about this, I was at the gym and I found myself in what I would like to call the pocket. Now, and I got knocked out of it right at the end of my thought. Getting knocked out of it was like a dream that slipped away, that you had last night, that slipped away from you in the morning. Like it's right there, or that thought that slipped away from you. And I desperately tried to get back into the pocket, but I couldn't. But this mental pocket, guys, I think is one of my favorite places to be in the world, and I really wanted to kind of flesh through it. So if you don't know what I mean in the mental sense of the pocket, I would maybe point you towards being in the zone in a sport. I think it's the exact same thing, and I think it makes it a little more relatable for more people that are maybe unfamiliar with in the mental sense. But yeah, similar to if you're in the zone in a sport, if you're playing basketball and for a fact, you just feel it when you shoot, it's going in. You pull your teammate, you say, "Give me the damn ball, man. I'm making this." Or when you're playing baseball and you're on the mound and you have an almost supernatural control and confidence of the baseball. Centimeters, inches of control of where you're going to place this ball. That's however far away from you. This is one of my favorite places to be in the world, the flow. Because I don't have sports anymore, I think it becomes more like very, very obvious when it manifest itself in other aspects of my life, such as mentally or writing for the podcast. But in the sense of writing for the podcast, in the sense of getting in the pocket mentally, it just feels like, I don't have to work for thoughts or for stories to be created. Things just start to fall in line. Connections are starting to be made, and it's like my repertoire of knowledge that I've gained over the years in just a wide variety of things just all starts to connect into a very logical, picture, a painting. Similar to that, and if you're in a basketball game and all the work you've put in over the years starts to manifest itself into this just smooth transition of thoughtless action that's, leading to a great deal of success. So my thing is I gotta get better at staying in the pocket. I don't know, and this is gonna get a little floaty because I don't know exactly how to do this. But mentally, I was at the gym, I was in it, I was feeling it. I should be working out, but I pull out my phone to write because I'm just in it. And then I just fall out. I don't know if I need to focus more. I don't know if I need to do some type of like meditation, some mental work. I would say I'm probably in the pocket more often than your average person just because I'm writing all the time or thinking about content for the episode. But if I could find a way to switch this on and off, that would literally be a very valuable weapon. A very valuable weapon. And that's something I need to work on. And maybe with time, maybe as we write more, maybe as we pump out more episodes, the pocket will be somewhere that I can, just fall into on demand. It's valuable, guys. It's valuable, guys. Things, moments of mental clarity where, the overthinker seems to dim down a little bit and we just kind of flow. We flow through our thoughts. Guys, I want to talk about the future of Zoom and human interaction right now because a lot of my work, we've talked about it before, but all of my work is virtual right now. I'm a teacher. My office hours are Zoom. When I'm helping students, it's through virtual interface. When I'm in meetings, when I'm talking to other humans, it's through Zoom. Applying for jobs, talking to potential employers, it's through Zoom. Yada, yada, yada. Now, the golden question and the very popular question that's going around right now is what are things going to look like going forward, right? And your most popular reply to this, and I think is a lazy reply, is that things will never be the same. What's the future going to look like? Things will never be the same. Now, like I said, I think this is a very easy reply. And it's pretty much the equivalent of you punting in a football game, right? You really don't want to deal with it. And so everybody's saying, let's go with it. But I don't think this is the case, guys. I think things will go back to normal. And the reason I think this is because I think things have to go back to normal in some way or another. Right? Of course, we're going to take better care of ourselves if we have flu symptoms. If we have a cough, probably wear a mask. If someone feels a little sick, probably more compared to the last 10 years, people will probably be staying home with sickness more, which is good. But as far as this virtual interaction, Zoom being the default for communication, I hope and I do not think that this will stick forever. I think one of the most obvious things through these times is that human interaction, physical movement, navigating an area to get to a meeting room is so much more important for mental health and performance and mental acuity than I think we thought before. Right? There's something to moving from building to building, going to meeting, that while may seem tedious compared to sitting in your office and just cycling through Zoom calls all day, there's something about that movement and that navigation and that extra work and, getting with people in a room physically and interacting that just contributes a large majority to happiness and fulfillment. And And I felt that personally. Um, I do not like these Zoom meetings or something. I mean, I'll do them, and yeah, it's easy because I don't have to leave my room. But I've talked to a lot of other people in my field, and the consensus seems to be even across the board, and that is, it's not the same. We can't do as much. There's a lot of distance. It'll work for now, but as soon as we're able to meet in person, people are going to be rushing to the door because we all miss it. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where when COVID's over, we just say, all Zoom meetings or all meetings are over Zoom from now on. That's just not going to work. Maybe they'll be more prevalent because we're all more familiar with the technology. We all know we all have Zoom now, right? Yeah, we all have Zoom from COVID. Why don't we just Zoom because John's out of town? Right? That's 100% a possibility, which would be a positive. But as far as things will never go back to normal and this is going to stick forever, I think it's a very nihilistic point of view, and I don't think it's the truth. We need human interaction, guys. It is valuable, and it is becoming obvious, and we can all agree. And hopefully, as COVID comes to a close and we can talk more about these things as a society, it'll become more obvious. I'm really hoping that because, man, human interaction is important. And luckily, I have an outdoor gym that I go to, so we abide by all COVID regulations needed. And that's my social time. That's where I can actually interact with other humans. No one's got sick there, so it's not, we're all doing it responsibly, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's like, this is the only time I come out of my cave during the day. So I'm so happy to see people. So happy to it's 115 degrees. So you'd think, wow, that's a real struggle. And maybe it would be if it wasn't just such a valuable time for me as far as being a human and what it means to, kind of get out of this little quarantine rut. But yeah, guys, it'll be interesting to see how we adjust back to it. My main point of all of this is when people say it'll never be the same, or if someone asks you if you think it'll be the same, don't punt and say no, it'll never be the same. I think don't take the easy route. Maybe give a little more neutral answer, like I think some things will change. But we need to be humans. We'll always have human interaction, and everybody, it's becoming more obvious that that's very important to us. Guys, the world news and current events is rough at the moment. Your classic COVID fear posts, a lot of political commentary to be had. And of course, we had our fix with our politics last week in the International Student Executive Order. It's hard, guys. It's hard, especially when there's not a lot going on, I guess. There's not a lot of big events that are happening, not a lot of cool events to cover, positive things to cover. So a lot of it's just feuds between nations, and your classic COVID post says the wife cries while male takes last breath as COVID cases rise. It's a post I just saw this morning. It's not healthy for me to be on that site, guys. It's not healthy. Right now, I think it's just best to just do your own thing, keep growing your passions, and etc. I don't have any other reliable answer for you guys because, apparently in some parts of the world, like Nebraska, the Midwest, things are open, which is great. But as far in my part of the world, might as well be my entire world because I'm not leaving anytime soon. It's all closed down. It's all rough. We're in our own little globe of protection, and the news is overall, the news is just too much for me to follow religiously. It's just too much. I don't, that system, the way that they create their articles, the way that they fish for clicks is not for me. And I can't spend time. I'm always thinking about it too much. So when I'm on those websites, it's just a little bit too much. It's just a little too disgusting for me. But one thing that rose to the surface this week, the one thing that I can gather out of some of the local news from last week, the local, regional, global news, is that cybersecurity is getting more and more important, guys. And this topic actually makes me nervous because I need to batten down the hatches on my online security, especially in a time where people generally are going more remote. People are online more. People are investing more of their lives into the virtual reality space, not virtual reality, but the virtual space. It's so important that you do things just as simple as two-factor authentication. Now, I know this sounds silly. I know it's like, oh, it just seems like a band-aid to put on a very serious issue, but apparently, as simple as it is, two-factor authentication is enough to stop just about anyone from taking your accounts. And with people being more connected, especially in COVID remote times, and to consider there's a lot of these schlubs that are out of a job that have a lot more time to cause online mischief, I think just paying attention to cybersecurity is extremely important in 2020 as we get to 2040, 2060. I think a lot of our lives will be online, and there will be a lot more change than a lot of us would like to admit, truthfully. So I think starting now, cybersecurity, making sure no one's getting into your account, making sure you have two-factor authentication, making sure you don't get baited by random emails or DMs on a platform is important, guys, because we know we've talked about how sensitive the times are. You don't want some 16-year-old getting on your Instagram account or your Facebook account and just, spreading profane shit that makes you look terrible, and that you have to go email. You have to make 6 posts to let everyone know that it's not you, and you have to talk to admin. It's not a worthy time, guys. To be honest, your social media accounts are truly an extension of yourself. So, I would treat them as such. And apparently, I know it sounds silly, and I'm even hesitant to comment on it or be this blatant about it, but apparently two-factor authentication is enough to get the job done. All right, guys, I don't want to rant too much this week. It was a little slow, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It was a slow week, for sure. Interesting times, but it looks like slowly things are speeding back up here. It's hard for me to say this because it doesn't look like schools are going to open August 17th here in Arizona. So we'll see. We're battling continuous content. This week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys, guys, was brought to you by the IP Monkeys Patreon page. All right, Patreon, patreon.com/IP Monkeys. I don't think we have any Patreons yet, but I'm gonna start putting this in every episode, and I might start putting it at the front, similar to how another podcast would do ads. This is how we're going to do it. Shout out to the Patreons, because they're going to be the ones supporting this project. They're going to be the ones keeping it alive 1, 2, 3 years down the road. All right, guys. 23 minutes, not too bad. I don't want to rant. I don't want to go on. Hopefully next week be a little more eventful. Maybe I can try to get in my head a little more, experiment a little more. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, we have the hotline. The IP Monkeys hotline. That is 602-892-4371. Call in. Give me your thoughts on something. Give us some talking points for next week. Let's spice things up. That's all for this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. This is Hunter Klein, guys, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.